Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thanks for taking the time. Maybe we should just begin with a brief intro. I mean, I think it's one of these films almost impossible to fully describe in a few sentences, but if you were going to try, what would you say?
Yeah, that is tough. You're right. It's an exploration of grief, shared trauma with a great soundtrack.
Bam! Wow. I think I'd say it's a coming of age story. Also, that lots of hormones in there, lots of grief, and lots of growing up and figuring life out, I'd say.
Boom.
And I understand, the story comes from a very personal place for Luna. I mean, not autobiographical, but, something that's very sort of close to her heart and came out almost in a bit of a fever dream. So when you first read that script, what did you think? And did you picture in your head the film as it is now?
I didn't read the script, so I got sent sides for my audition. That was the first time from my first encounter with it, and I think it felt whatever it was. I was so dumbfounded. I had no idea, but also I felt a lot reading the two scenes, and I have the one of the scenes was on a school field, and it was between Maria and Deba played her best friend, and it was just like a very simple, beautiful scene between two friends. And then the other scene was with Michael, and then I was like, I don't know what is going on here, but there was so much context, there was so much behind, and you immediately feel like there's something real in it. And I think it kind of popped out for me. That was one of the first things that it meant something. And I was extremely drawn to that, and I wanted to meet whoever wrote that. And I was super attracted to the elements in it, and there was an element of surreal element to it, and it wasn't very logical. It was feeling based. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was. It's just very strange material to read and get on your desk. And so I remember when I read it, I thought I'd really like to meet the person who wrote it. And I met Luna, and she made a very strong and formidable impression on me. Not consciously. She's a powerful person. She's not the kind of person you forget in a hurry. And the fact that this script was coming from a mind like that, I was just intrigued to see how she would pull it off, and to contribute to that seemed like it would be a very worthwhile and enlightening experience. And then when I got into the chemistry test, we had one chemistry test, which we crawled through, and it was very clear that what the weapon that Luna had up her sleeve with Saura, and I was like, okay, this could be fun.
Such a complex relationship between Maria and Michael, and there's this kind of push-pull going on where you sort of feel this sort of affection between them, but then there's also something kind of repulsive, and some of the scenes that you have to pull off. So I wonder what you found, some of the highlights of the shoot, but maybe some of the challenging moments, maybe the spitting scene.
Were the challenging moments and the highlights? Well, they tend to kind of come in the same form. They're the same thing. The challenging moments are the highlights, and the confidence lies at the end of the challenge, really. Like, I think kind of when you're doing it, you're trying to figure out the rules or find the pieces to that puzzle. And then after it, like if you feel like I never really feel like I've nailed it, but if you kind of get close to that feeling, or feeling like it's done and that worked, that's a really gratifying thing. Obviously, as we mentioned, this film is full of quite perverse and complicated ceremonies and interactions, and it's complicated between these two, and they notice a similar wound or trauma in each other, and they kind of pick at the scab of that with each other. And there's that solace or that want for that person to solve whatever baggage they're lugging around, or like to carry one of the bags. And I think that in life, that doesn't tend to work out. Saura?
I'm with you. Oh my God. It felt like a fever dream, all of it, to be honest. The highlights and the challenges were hand in hand. There was a particular moment I could talk about that was challenging, which was actually the bullfight scene, which is one of the crazy ones. But we did that in 3 takes, and is there something that kind of, it's a challenge because I like challenges, but it was an emotional release scene, and it took me by surprise, and I wasn't thinking too much about it. And that was a particular moment where the challenge was there. It was tough. It swooped me, and then I was held by the wonderful people around me, and it was it was also a highlight, because then you're like, my God, look at who I'm surrounded by, and I'm free to play, and it's an incentive to keep going. To be honest, you keep wanting to do more, and hopefully, I keep being, and you keep being surrounded by spaces that allow you to keep playing and to make you feel safe in it as well.
And I understand there's sometimes some props coming in to help, so something to do with the Calipos.
The Calipos? Yeah, ice cream. That was nice. It was.
There were some props.
There was some props.
There was probably some props.
Do you want to talk about the props?
And some perfume?
There was definitely some perfume, yes. Luna liked spraying this smelly stuff around, which smelled like stuff that I probably can't talk about on the upcoming. But it really helped to kind of evoke this sense of, something, or whatever. It's hard to put your finger on it, but it felt pretty sticky in there.
And in terms of the takeaways, I mean, you go in to watch this film and it's not like anything else where you're sort of following the story and the narrative. It's just this kind of raw, unfiltered experience, and it's not afraid to go to these really sort of dark places. Yet there's also a levity and a playfulness there. So it's dealing with the, trauma and how you react to grief, but it's also kind of tapping into some of the darker aspects that we probably all have inside of us. So, what do you think people take away?
I mean, that's wonderfully well observed, and I'm glad that you experienced that. I think that there is a vehemence in this film that stems solely from Luna and the ambiguity of life, and how things can be feral and fun and formidable and painful and joyful, and you can experience all of these very complicated and intoxicating feelings at the same time, especially like when you recognize it in getting to know someone else. And through these 2 characters, we watch them grieve, relate, but there's lust there's anger, there's shame, there's so many kind of complicated things that are explored with such craftsmanship, with Luna's guidance and her vision, really. And I think kind of reaching for something like that, and playing the chords in that order is a really, really encouraging thing. And for someone so young as Luna, it's such a striking debut, I think, and to be part of it is a real, it's a massive honour.
What are they going to take away? A lot, I think, hopefully. And, or I don't know, I think it's whatever you take from it will be right. It's an experience, and it was made with a lot of love, I think, and a lot of other things too. But the string of love is there throughout, and as you say, it's a huge honor to be part of this film, and Luna's fantastical imagination and way of bringing people together. And the worlds she also trusts you to bring to life is no small thing. So I think everyone can have a piece of her, this one.
And have you been in the cinema watching it with other people? I mean, I think she was comparing it to, like Ian McEwan's The Cement Garden, and even Luna said when she was watching it, she feels like physically sick at some moments. So it's like, that's what I mean. It's not just like a normal cinema experience, but I think people also want that. They want something different. They don't want to just be kind of, have their hand held through just like watching a film all the time. They want something really different. And this feels like, really evocative and brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people want to be challenged and people want to be confused. And I think narratives don't need to be spelled out and things don't need to be underlined. And I think, yeah, that's the quality of a very brave filmmaker, to just kind of passively present something with intent, if you can passively present something with intent, and let people interpret that how they will. Yeah, date movie of 2024, I'd say.
And just very quickly, what you might be working on next?
What are you starting with me? Lots of things. No, the moment is wide open. There's a lot of there's exciting stuff coming up, which I can't talk about, but hopefully lots of challenges and working on myself.
We've got Quiet Place Day 1 coming out on June 28th, June 28th coming out, June 28th. And then got Gladiator 2 coming out November 11th, I think. November 11th. And then, yeah, some other stuff too.
Not too shabby. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me, and I really can't wait for everyone else to have this incredible experience of watching Hoard. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.